All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is having a great Monday morning. Had a great weekend. Of course, as always, I'm Perry White. My man Zach McKinnell will be joining me here in just a second. And we're going to be recapping the College Baseball World Series. LSU won the entire thing yesterday. And I'm right here in Baton Rouge, so you can imagine what the atmosphere here is like in Baton Rouge. But nonetheless, there was some games that had to be played. We're going to recap those games and take a look back at how we got to this point. So for everybody out there, if this is your first time tuning in, I am Perry White. I'm also the host of the Jaguar Journal on 107.3 FM here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You can keep up with the Jaguar Journal on YouTube. You can go subscribe to that as well as on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Go follow the Jaguar Journal across all those, and as well as on the yard right here on Facebook, YouTube, on X, and everywhere else. So, in order to keep up with us, that's how you have to do it. It's cost nothing. As my man Zach gets ready to join us here today for the show. Zach, what's going on, man?
What's up, man?
How's everything going?
Ah, man, good. And busy. So, with the NBA Finals ending last night, College World Series ended yesterday. It's officially football season, Perry. Preview magazines are on the shelf, man. It's time.
And I try to take my time and slow down because what happens normally when we get to this time of the year, man, I try to take the days as they are because I already know once football season gets here, the snap of a finger, it'll be Thanksgiving, it'll be headed into December, and before you know it, we have conference championships, and not only that, it will be time for bowl games and everything else, and it'll be over just as fast as it started, man. So for me, I'm just trying to take it slow right now, one step at a time, just enjoying the opportunity to not really focus on sports for the next month and a half. But for you, you're gonna be rocking and rolling.
Man, Media Day is in like 3 weeks for the swag.
It is, man. And as we get ready to rock and roll with today's show, man, other than that, man, everything's been good on your end.
Yeah, man. Just been staying busy. Just been staying busy. I'm ready to talk about this World Series, man, because it was a interesting weekend to say the least.
It was, and as we build up to this and we lead into this, you know, my pick was Arkansas, yours was Coastal Carolina. Man, you got a lot closer than I did, and I'm definitely going to talk about Arkansas in this episode. Okay, it's no doubt I can let the Razorbacks slide, but overall for you, before we get into the games, just looking on TV, looking at the atmosphere of Omaha and the crowd support of the city and from the fans.
Man, I think it's funny because I know like with like the Final Four, the national championship in college football, like a lot of the times it moves around, right? But there's something special when the national championship is always in the same place because I feel like the local community gets so involved and so invested. It makes it makes the experience more complete for the fans that are traveling there, right? It makes it a destination spot. You look at it's unique, right? Because you have Omaha for the College World Series and men's baseball. You have Oklahoma City for the softball championship, and you saw the attendance there really, really good with Texas and Texas Tech there. You get it with the FCS national championship, right? In Frisco.
Mhm.
Well, now it's going to Nashville because of the stadium construction, but you saw Frisco really lean into the FCS national championship. And Perry, one that's near and dear to both our hearts, you have Atlanta for the Celebration Bowl
Yep.
every year. And Perry, you know this. You'll go to the Celebration Bowl and you'll see more fans in other teams' jerseys and paraphernalia than you will the teams playing sometimes, right? Like you see Southern gear, you see Grambling gear, you see North Carolina A&T gear, period. North Carolina A&T is not even in either conference anymore.
That's
And
right.
so I think and you see all these different cities I just mentioned lean into promoting that event, making the experience great for the fans. I think that's what you get in Omaha, and that's why you see these fans travel and have fun. You have the shot challenge, right? Which, to be fair, I think we need to like protest a little bit. If LSU keeps showing up, you should just group the other 7 teams together and have those 7 teams against LSU. Because if you split them all up, LSU is going to win by 30,000 shots every year, and it's not going to be fair. We need some parity there, and I'm going to call for that. But you just see, and I went to the College World Series in 2019, Perry, and it's a great experience, and I think it's different when you have the same location hosting every year, and that's what you saw with Omaha.
Yeah, nobody wants to drink against South Louisiana, right? Especially the LSU fans. You don't want to have to go in a drinking contest back and forth with those fans because, as you know, they're going to win it every time. And I was actually at a bar yesterday near LSU having a couple drinks myself as the championship was won. And you better believe the drinks were flowing plentiful once that final out was taken and the Tigers were crowned the college baseball national champion. And let's go back to last Saturday as we look on the SEC side of things, and particularly with LSU and Arkansas. LSU came in number 6, Arkansas number 3. This was a much anticipated matchup. All eyes was on this matchup. It was the 6 o'clock first pitch, so they had the prime time slot. Arkansas had just come in after defeating Tennessee in the Super Regional. LSU had just defeated West Virginia. And then these two teams meet up, and it goes LSU's way early as LSU put up 3 runs in the top of the second and held on to win 4-1 in a dominating fashion in this ball game. Arkansas just could not get any offense going. Arkansas in this ball game as LSU won 4-1 with 4 hits, 0 errors on the other side for LSU. 6 hits and 0 errors. Let's go back to that game 1 with Arkansas and LSU. LSU with great pitching. Of course, Cade Anderson came in, 7 strikeouts in this ball game. Steve Milam goes 2 for 4. But Arkansas just couldn't get the bats going in game 1.
No, they couldn't. And man, Perry, you're really testing my memory, man. It feels like this game happened about 10 years ago when you put all when you know, because I tried to watch every game in the entire College World Series, but like you said, Arkansas's bats just they were asleep in this one. And I think when you play a team like LSU, man, you're going to have to find a way to put up more than 1 run. We've talked about LSU all year, right, Perry, about how maybe on-field performance hasn't always been at its best, but when you look at on paper, they're the most talented team in the country from top to bottom on paper. And I just think when you look at this LSU team, man, that they showed why their bats came alive at the right time. And the thing that makes LSU so challenging, in my opinion, Perry, is there's not a spot in the lineup where you can breathe as a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's definitely some strengths in the lineup in certain spots, right? But there's not a spot in the lineup where it's like, okay, this guy has no shot at turning this game around. I think that's what makes them so difficult, especially, man, when you start looking like early in that lineup, when you get through like Frey, Brown, and Jones, man, they all can make something happen. And so I just think you saw Arkansas not able to take advantage. And also too, LSU's pitching staff is by far, and this is going to be a reoccurring theme as we talk about, especially when we get to the finals. The pitching rotation for LSU is lethal. And I think you saw that they arguably have the best pitching rotation in college baseball, and it was evident throughout this tournament as they put out guy after guy who just delivered. I think in this game, if I'm not mistaken, Cade Anderson started this first game and 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 7 pitches. I mean, 7 innings pitched, only 3 hits allowed, and we're going to talk about Cade Anderson here in a little bit about another performance he had. Man, he delivers, and I think if you're LSU and you could put Cade Anderson out there for game 1, you feel really, really good about the rest of the pitching staff. And then you had Case and Evans come in and do a really good job of closing this game out.
That's right, man. And LSU won game 1 coming into the College World Series. So what does that do? It knocks Arkansas into the losers bracket now. Arkansas then has to take on Murray State. And in this game, this was one because Murray State was the Cinderella team. Everybody wanted to see, how good was Murray State coming up into this point. And this one was all Arkansas. When I say all Arkansas, let me circle and say it was all Gage Woods, who nearly had a perfect game, but he threw a no-hitter with 19 strikeouts in this one as Arkansas was able to get it done. 3-1 was the final score in this one. Arkansas putting up a run in the top of the third and another 2 in the top of the 7th. Arkansas gives up no hits, only 1 error on the other side for Arkansas. But, man, listen, the Razorbacks get it done. 10 hits in this ball game, 0 errors, and they able to get it done, man. What a hell of a performance by Gage Woods, being able to be the first guy, only the third guy ever, and the first guy since like the 60s? To be able to throw it, 1960 to throw a no-hitter with 19 strikeouts, man. A hell of a performance for Gage Wood for Arkansas to bounce back against a Cinderella in Murray State?
You know what's crazy? So it's the first one since 1960. His strikeout total is a new record since the game went to 9 innings. And this is what's crazy, Perry. Did you know before that no hitter, he only pitched more than 5 innings in a start once all season? That's insane, right? Like it came out of nowhere,
It did.
and he just got hot at the right time. And I want to say, period. There's an argument to be had, and obviously it's historic. I mean, there's. I was watching and I was texting one of my good friends who's a big LSU guy, and I was like, "Man, I don't know, like that might be the best pitching performance I've ever watched." I mean, it was unbelievable. Like 19 strikeouts for people who aren't baseball fans. To put that in perspective, I mean, what would that be? I don't even know what that like what the equivalent would be in other sports. I mean, it was unbelievable. And the fact that in the ninth inning period, when he was up, when also, too, the fact that he hit that guys, like, the one guy he hit, I was sick because it was just one of those ones that barely got away, right, Perry? Like, just
Barely.
a game of inches, and the fact he was so confident, and I think you could tell about the mid-8th inning, Perry, that adrenaline started to kick in for him, and
Mhm.
even though he might have been tired, you saw that adrenaline kick in when he kind of realized what was happening, and I just don't think Murray State had any shot. And I also want to give a shout out because it got lost in the no hitter with Gage Wood. Justin Thomas for Arkansas had an outstanding game hitting 4 at bats, 4 hits, a run. He was spectacular in the lineup. And then also too, man, their bats really kind of came alive. Davlin Charles, and they had their shortstop also had multiple hits, but man, Justin Thomas Jr. had a really, really good performance as well out there at center field.
Yeah, definitely, man. Arkansas finds themselves not eliminated. Murray State, unfortunately, who lost game one against UCLA, then heads home. Hell of a story for Murray State and how they got here and considering the path to where to get to the College Baseball World Series, man. Congratulations to Murray State and a good season. And then we move on to UCLA. Now, as UCLA and LSU, both teams found themselves in a winner bracket. And this game was postponed halfway through in the fourth inning because inclement weather rolled through the Omaha area. And then this game had to be finished the next day. But nonetheless, it was 4-3 coming out of the first inning. This game was back and forth. But as we go into day two of this one, LSU hangs on to pull away and win this one 9-5 over the Bruins of UCLA. LSU gets it done off of 12 hits, 0 errors. On the other side for UCLA, 9 hits and 0 errors. LSU in a great game against UCLA, man, getting it done and finding themselves 2-0 in the College Baseball World Series now.
Yeah, UCLA, I thought was impressive. Throughout here, I just think they ran into two buzzsaws,
Yeah.
and I think we kind of agree that it was going to come down to LSU and Arkansas. Throughout here, they handled their business against Murray State. I thought they played pretty well against LSU in that winners bracket game. I mean, you saw early what they put up 3 runs in the first inning, kept it close, and I just think it and it's kind of going to be repeated a lot during this episode. Perry is just LSU just had too much talent, and you saw talent just overwhelm their opponents. But man, they had some outstanding guys who played really, really well. I think pitching for the most part is what kind of hurt UCLA. Like in that first game against LSU, I want to say they had one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 guys they had to put out there. And pitching, man, when you look at the way Omaha works, the fact that in that winners game you had to pitch 8 guys, it set them up for so much. You had to get into your depth so much against Arkansas in that second game that's where it hurt them. The rain delay hurt UCLA so bad because
Yeah.
you got to come back with the double header, right? You pitched 8 guys in this game. So who do you have? Who's still in the bullpen ready to go against Arkansas? And I think you saw that they just couldn't hang in that second game against Arkansas pitching. But I thought UCLA had a heck of a season, man. They made an unprecedented run to the College World Series. They were the 15th seed, and I just think they if they were in the top part of the bracket, there's a real good chance that they could have been right there with Coastal competing to get to the finals. But Perry, when you're in the bracket with LSU and Arkansas, man, it's just tough, especially when you had the whole rain delay situation. I just don't think they had the same depth in the bullpen that LSU or Arkansas did.
Yeah, you're talking about that rain delay. So as you said before, it forced a doubleheader for whoever the loser were because Arkansas was sitting there after getting their victory against Murray State, still in that elimination bracket, and because of UCLA losing to LSU, then we had a UCLA and an Arkansas matchup later in that day, and in this one, it was Arkansas. This game went back and forth, but as you said before, UCLA had to dig down into the bullpen, and they kept doing it over and over and over and over just trying to stop the bleeding. Arkansas takes an early 2-0 lead in the top of the first and then put up another two in the bottom of the seventh and the eighth. Final score in this one, Arkansas 7, UCLA 3. Arkansas gets it done off of 10 hits, 3 errors on the other side. For UCLA, 6 hits and 1 error. Zach Root, who came into and started this game, who was kind of the problem for Arkansas in game one when they took on LSU. He gave up a lot of runs early on to basically give LSU that early lead. Arkansas entrusted him and put him back out there. He got 5 strikeouts in this ball game. And Arkansas got back on track and found themselves once again not eliminated, but UCLA eliminated in this ball game, and they head home. Arkansas now eliminates Murray State and UCLA, man.
I just I kind of want to breeze past this because I just, like I said, I kind of talked about it with the UCLA point of view. I just don't think it was a good matchup for them. And on top of that, I just think their bullpen was exhausted. And I also want to say Brent Eardale had a really, really good performance, man. 2 at bats, 2 hits. On top of that, had 3 runs in this game as well. So really, really good performance there. Zach Root had a pretty good pitching performance, 5 strikeouts in 5 innings, didn't allow a run. But I
He
really
had to
want to
make
get
up from Saturday, Blue. He had to make up for that.
yeah, yes, he did. But I do want to say I really want to get into this second game against LSU Arkansas, man, because if you want to talk about a game that changed the trajectory of this whole tournament, man, for Arkansas, that's the one we got to get into.
Well, let's jump right into it as Arkansas then faces the elimination bracket once again because, look, Arkansas has that one loss. LSU so far has been rolling on, and then we get the rematch from Saturday. Now here it is Wednesday, and it is the rematch between Arkansas and LSU, the 2 teams left from the SEC. And in this one, it goes back and forth. And let me tell you something. This was one of the best games I think I've watched in college baseball in a long time that had magical moment written all around it. And when it looked like Arkansas had this thing all wrapped up, ready to put the bow on it, something about the Bayou Bengals, the LSU Tigers found a way to get it done. Final score in this was 6-5 is the final score. LSU gets it done off of 10 hits, 3 errors on the other side for Arkansas, 9 hits and 1 error. But let's just break this game down, Blue, and I'll let you really get into it because I was at a bar watching this game. And let me tell you, of course, being the only Arkansas fan, I'm in Baton Rouge. Everybody in there literally was looking at me with hatred in their eyes as we were headed towards the end of the ball game. Like, I can't believe Arkansas is going to pull this off. And by the time this thing was over, Blue, and LSU won this game, people were standing on top of the bar, the pool table. They were going bananas everywhere, just popping, doing it all. And let me tell you, it had for me to feel like one of the most heartbreaking losses because we saw this in the past with Arkansas with 2 outs. The ball game basically off a pop fly against Oregon State, and Arkansas can then add their name to the list of the continued SEC national champions coming into the College Baseball World Series. But they miss it. Oregon State goes on to win that game and goes on to win the next game. Arkansas was the better team in this ball game, and they looked like it. But for the vast majority through 8 innings of this ball game, it was all Arkansas. But Arkansas found a way to lose in the most Arkansas way. And I continue to say it. You remember we talked about this headed into this, how Arkansas finds a way to just, when the lights are bright, when everybody's watching, and it is an opportunity to finally reel people in as fans to say, all right, Arkansas, we continue to find ways as the Razorbacks lose games in just the craziest, wackiest, most Arkansas way, Blue.
Bro, oh, I mean, okay. I know that loss. What was it? What was it? 2018 when they lost to
Oregon
Oregon
State.
State. This was worse.
Yeah.
This was arguably the most gut-wrenching loss out of all the Arkansas disappointments.
Mm.
I just, I mean, I want to put in perspective for people who don't understand why. This is 12 College World Series appearances. They've had 2 trips to the finals. It's the second most trips to Omaha without a national championship. You like to set the stage. You score 2 runs in the top of the ninth, 5-3 lead going in, and it was just a series of questionable decisions. Like your shortstop does not go for the double play
It was
to end it.
there.
I don't know how you feel, right? Because maybe he was just being conservative because of the moment, but I'd rather lose being aggressive trying to win it in an elimination game against LSU than be conservative and lose like we did.
The Golden Spikes Award winner had the ball in his hand and could have put it away. That's what the playmakers do. That was
Yeah,
an opportunity for him as the playmaker to put that game away. Turn to go to second, go to first. That's the ball game. Milam was nowhere near first base by the time that ball would have got there. But he said he got conservative and went to third. And I scratched my head like, why are we taking the one when we can go for the two?
I don't get it, and especially because you're playing such a talented team with LSU, you cannot give that lineup another run, another crack at this. And you saw why, right? You saw why. You can't let it happen. And then on top of that, too, you hit it to the outfield, and the left fielder just completely loses it.
What the hell was he doing? I mean, I real life got to ask him. He makes that play 100% of the times leading up into that. He just dove at it wrong, just horrible angle at the ball, man.
I just, I
It
don't
was
know
the
what.
most Arkansas way to lose a game that Arkansas could find. And when Arkansas looks back in history, every time they have an opportunity, they say, you know what? We can outdo that last one. Let's outdo it. And that ninth inning debacle just falling apart was the most Arkansas way to lose a game.
I just, I you, I feel so bad for Arkansas fans because it's like, when does this happen? When do we get over the? Because going in, right, you would think, and this is how I kind of thought, like it couldn't get any worse, right? It couldn't top Oregon State, and here we are talking about the most gut wrenching way to lose. It's just, if it wasn't, and we talked about this, Perry, if it wasn't this year, when's it going to be?
When is it
And
going to be? I mean, Arkansas's baseball program, no doubt about it. If you look over the past decade, Arkansas arguably has had the best baseball program up and down with the talent and everywhere else around. But yet to have you, and you can have all of these records, but when you walk into that Arkansas baseball stadium and you look around, you will not see a national title anywhere. And I think that is a travesty considering how great this program has been over the past 10 years.
it's usually bad watching people mourn losses, right? You see all the emotion on their faces and everything, but like watching the Arkansas players know that they just handed, because how many games are you going to get LSU where they make 3 costly errors? How many games were you going to see where LSU gives up 2 key runs in the top of the ninth? When are you going to have a chance to turn a double play to extend the series into the, like, and the crazy part is, right, Perry, and this is what a lot of people haven't really addressed. How much different does the finals look if LSU has to play an extra game?
You make them go into the bullpen now.
And Coastal lost that first game by 1-0. I mean, just how different does the whole trajectory look? And so that Arkansas loss was just gut wrenching, man. And you look at this team, can they find a way to get back next year, Perry, or was this another opportunity where now they're going to have to fight and claw their way back into this position? It's just, oh, if you're an Arkansas fan, man, you just, at this point, I'm just selling out for a, I don't even know. Like, can we win in like track and field? Can we win in basketball? Like, we got John
No.
Calipari. Maybe we just throw our money into there.
Well, let's start there. You want to talk about losing in the most Arkansas way? The Elite Eight. Arkansas dominates Texas Tech the entire game, doesn't score a point in the last 2 minutes of the game, and allows Texas Tech to win. Once again, Arkansas finding the most Arkansas way to lose the game. And let me tell you, I'm telling you, the CIA has to be like doing some type of mind trick to test the loyalty of the human psyche to a certain entity or whatever it is. Whatever it is, they're testing it. And I don't know how much more I have. And people know I'm an Arkansas fan. I sat staring into space for 10 minutes after that game against LSU, just wondering what the hell happened. And I think anybody that's an Arkansas fan, and this is one of the things where I consistently say, what makes LSU special as a national brand to where you can go anywhere in the country and you'll find someone with some LSU gear on. No matter where you go, it's an airport anywhere, it's a shopping mall, no matter where you go. What makes that brand special the way that it is the magical moments when they're back up against the wall and when you think it is all over with, and when the lights are bright and everybody's watching, they find a way to win the big games, and especially when it's time to hoist up a trophy. That's what makes the brand, when you say Louisiana State University, magical. People want to be a part of magic. And when you have those magical moments, it draws in people who may not even know about you, who become the new fan, who want to be on the bandwagon, who want to be a part of everything that you bring, because what do people like? People like champions. And when you're a champion and you show it year in and year out, no matter the sport, it draws people to you. When Arkansas has that opportunity to get people to draw to them and get closer to win those games with the lights bright and everybody paying attention, they find a way to blow it. And then it's always the worst way to blow it. You know, you don't walk away just like, damn, if they just, it's like, how the hell did that happen? And that's continuously happened to the Arkansas brand. And that's why Arkansas can't get over the hump. And that's why LSU is living in the clouds over them in the mountaintops above everybody, because the brand continues to find ways to win when people are watching. This was a magical moment. And I think for anybody, whether you're a baseball fan or not, when you walked away from looking at that LSU Arkansas game, you had to just say, damn, that was a hell of a game. That was two good teams. And man, I don't know how LSU won that game.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about this finals here in a second. And it goes right back into LSU just consistently delivering in the moment.
The moment. And that moment was LSU's, as they eliminated Arkansas in the most Arkansas way. And then now here we go. We have the matchup between Coastal Carolina and LSU. This is the one everybody wanted to see. Coastal Carolina riding a 26-game winning streak coming into this one. Unheard of. Had not lost a game in months, right? LSU had not lost a game since being in Omaha. Now we got a matchup of two teams. LSU getting a run early in this game in the bottom of the first, and that's all it took. One run in this one as LSU won 1-0. LSU got it done off of 6 hits, 0 error on the other side for the Chanticleers. 3 hits, 1 error. Cade Anderson in this one, it looked like at some points he was going to unravel and fall apart, but he kept his composure. 10 strikeouts in this ball game. As Cade Anderson continued to just keep his focus, and LSU find a way to get it done and breaking that long winning streak for Coastal Carolina, bringing them back down to earth.
Listen, Cade Anderson is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I wish he had one more year at LSU, but we know he's going to the next level. He's going to make a whole lot of money. I really, because I was texting one of my good friends from LSU, and I was like, man, is he a soft, like, is he coming back? And he was like, no, he's already played 3 years. I'm like, man, thank God for the rest of the SEC, because I mean it was such a good. Now listen, it wasn't the no hitter or whatever, but man, this was we've seen Coastal Carolina's lineup be dangerous
Mm-hmm.
at times, and you saw they were able to take care, generate a whole bunch of points against Auburn, who had a pretty good staff, but for and also too, let's be honest, I think the trust that they had in Anderson down the stretch, right? Because he walked those guys in the last inning, and so Coastal had a chance to make things interesting. And the fact that they just stayed the course and kept having faith in him was so huge, and it shows what type of a professional he's going to be and how talented he is. And 10 strikeouts, a complete game, only 3 hits allowed against a really, really good Coastal Carolina lineup was huge. And we know it was lost in it too, is how well Cameron Flukie played for Coastal Carolina as well.
Mm-hmm.
6 innings pitched, only 4 hits. He only allowed 1 earned run and had 9 strikeouts as well. I thought Cameron played really, really well for Coastal Carolina. It was just, man, Cade Anderson is just so good, and also too, we've talked about this a million times, man. It's just delivering in the biggest moments, and the fact that LSU and who would have thought that it was the first inning, right? That one run was the difference but between Coastal potentially continuing that win streak and Anderson and dealing with the pressure, man, is just different. And I think it goes back to the talent that LSU had compared to everybody else, man, and that talent being able to deliver in the biggest moments. I understand they've had some, really impressive wins throughout the College World Series run, and even through the postseason run, right? To me, this was, even though it was just 1-0, I think this was the most impressive win LSU had all postseason.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Consistent, especially when you look at Coastal Carolina's road here. It was not easy, but they handled everybody and made it look easy at sometimes. It was like nothing you could do could rattle them. But in this one, LSU found a way to rattle them, and LSU got it done off of 1 run coming in the bottom of the first. And who would have thought that you could win against Coastal Carolina just putting up 1 run? But that's all it takes to win a game. And now here we go into game 2. Can we get a possible game 3? Can LSU seal the deal? What happens in this one? Final score 5-3. Both teams go back and forth. LSU gets it done off of 10 hits, 0 errors for Coastal Carolina, 8 hits and 2 errors. But let's talk about it. In the first inning, Coastal Carolina coach comes out, has words with the umpire. He ultimately gets thrown out the game, and then the assistant gets thrown out of the game. Let's go there as we talk about how that impacted game 2 between these two teams with LSU and Coastal Carolina. Of course, LSU winning it. They are the national champions, but it was so many layers to this before we just get to national champion.
Okay. Let's okay. This one made me a little bit upset, right? Because here we talk about it like by the letter of the law, like in the NCAA released a statement, you're not allowed to argue once the ump tells you to stop. And so by the letter of the law, they weren't necessarily wrong in the way and how it happened, but bro, it's an elimination game at the College World Series, and emotions are running high. I just think you have to have, and I would be saying this even if it was on the flip side, right? And it was LSU's coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a little bit of discretion. And let's be honest, Perry, he probably doesn't get ejected if the umpire doesn't trip over his own feet. And I really think it was a moment of, and he said it in the post-game press conference, why is he held accountable for the umpire's lack of athleticism? He didn't push him, right? He didn't knock him down. The umpire tripped over his own feet. And you know what happened, Perry. His pride got a little bit hurt. There's 25,000 people in the stands, and he ejected him.
And millions at home watching.
Exactly. And then you eject the first base coach as well after that. When you eject the head coach, right, it escalated tensions already. So you don't think the first base coach is going to get involved now?
He's going to stand up for his guy. And both
Yeah.
coaches, because of the situation, it ended up being a 2-game suspension. So regardless if Coastal won or not, they were done in Omaha.
Yeah, I'm with you. And so you can't eject the head coach, man, and then give him a 2-game suspension. I just, you know, I didn't like it. I just think in this moment you have to use a little bit better discretion, and you should only. And I'm not saying let chaos ensue, right? But you have he for him to be ejected, he would have needed to push the umpire down or touch but if he kept going, right? If it was next inning and he was still yelling and still not listening, then maybe escalate it to that point. But I just don't like how it was handled, man. It's the College World Series, Omaha elimination game. Let's use a little bit more discretion before just ejecting everybody.
Yeah, man, that was a big part of the game. Then you had the recruiting coordinator come in and pretty much coach the rest of the game for Coastal Carolina. But Coastal Carolina was a team that did not really want to go away in this one. They battled back, but it was just too much LSU in this one, and LSU found a way to get it done. when the moment was bright, and they got it done, Blue.
Man, I'm so impressed with LSU, man. And this goes back into how deep this bullpen is. Anthony, man, was amazing. I know we lost 7 hits, man, but 9 strikeouts, only 3 earned runs. Chase Shores comes in and delivers two. What it was, I think it was like 2.2 innings, only 1 hit, 4 strikeouts, no runs allowed, and I just think it was LSU again
And he was
delivering.
throwing that heat. We're talking about 100, 101.
Yes, man, and it's so impressive. And then, LSU got up early. Coastal tried to make it a little bit interesting in the seventh, and then things just got away from it. I think those two errors were so costly for Coastal as well.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes, and it's, I don't want to be too cliche here, but it just goes back to when you're facing a team like LSU in that type of moment, those little mistakes just become so much bigger than they would be maybe in like the middle of March, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't make small mistakes like that against LSU, and just an outstanding performance by the Tigers. And I got to ask you, Perry, I mean, there's an argument here, and I saw a lot of people talking about this that even though LSU might not have the most national championships,
Mm-hmm.
they might not have the most appearances in Omaha. Has LSU established itself as the best college baseball program in the in ever?
Considering the Skip Berkman 90s, which, I mean, it created the foundation of what we see today, maybe so. I think for me, it's magical. I think that's what makes it what it is. It is a magical look at how they got here. I mean, we're talking about a team who got run ruled against Northwestern State. Remember that day? Remember we talked about that? We're talking about a team who struggled as up and down when we look back at this pitching staff starting SEC play. Wasn't a great hitting team all the way around. I mean, they were good, but it didn't look like national championship worthy. But the way this team developed into what we saw to ultimately hoist up the trophy, they won it in 2023. Let's go with it. Yes. I think I would have to put it there. I think this baseball program as a whole, from the 90s to the 2000s of where we at now, is magical. And it's just, you can't ignore it. You can't overlook it. And no matter what, they find ways to win when the lights are bright and everybody's watching and it's time to win a trophy. They find ways to get a trophy. I think in the modern era, I will have to put LSU as the best baseball program that's out there. There could be an argument had Arkansas won here, there, and a couple that Arkansas could be knocking at the door, but Arkansas just does not have the championships. They have the records, they have the accolades, but nothing to hoist up a banner or a trophy. So I guess I would have to. I'm saying all that to say is like it sounds like I'm beating around the bush because I'm trying to talk myself into this. I will have to agree. I will have to say LSU perhaps is the best baseball program, college baseball program ever in the modern era since I've been looking around. And I mean, I've been around for a while now, so I would definitely have to go there. What about you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's fair, right? Because I mean, they're behind USC, right, in terms of total titles, but
Yeah,
USC hasn't won a national title since 1998.
yeah,
Um, and like you said, you look back in history, and that USC team won what, seven during like an 11-year stretch in the 60s and 70s. Um, and so that I think historically, like you got to give credence to that. But if you're looking at who's the best team in college baseball right now, like you said in the modern era, man, it's hard not to say LSU. And like they're they rank fifth all time in College World Series win. Texas is first with 88, but Texas hasn't won a national title in what, I think, 20 years.
yeah.
And the last time they went to the finals was 2009. And I just it's tough not to make an argument that LSU's not there right now. And you look at what they've done just recently, right? 20 Omaha, I think it's 20 Omaha visits right now, 8 national titles, 8-1 in the finals, 47 men's College World Series wins, all in the past 40 years for LSU. And let's not forget this, and this is from an ESPN article from Ryan McGee. Shout out to him. After winning it in 2023, LSU lost 13 players to pro baseball.
Yeah, because last year was tough. They got put out in the regional North Carolina. Was it the regional, super regional?
Yeah. And let's not forget, Perry, they had 8 pitchers last year drafted
Yeah,
as well. And so and we talked about this all throughout the year, right? Where LSU on paper was so talented. It just wasn't gelling at times this year. And there was like a lack of consistency at times. They had some tough weekend series. Like you said, you mentioned the run rule in the midweek. When it counted, though, when they finally kind of figured out their identity and figured out their rotation and they started to get hot at the right time, like, let's not, I mean, this Coastal Carolina team was no joke. They won 26 games in a row and was a 55 plus win team. Man, it was so impressive what LSU did. And I think in the modern era, you got to give credence that LSU right now is by far the preeminent program in college baseball.
and let's go back to it because I had to give you credit. We were looking at early on in SEC play as Texas is the best team in the conference and in the nation. Once they got past LSU, and Texas just seemed like they could not lose a series as they were blessed coming into the conference this year with a lot of a lot of home series and starting conference play. But there was a turning point, I think, coming out of Oklahoma. It was one of those series, I can't quite recall, but I can remember you saying, and it may have been Tennessee, but there was a moment when we did the show and you said, all right, looking at this now, and we had the conversation, it looks like LSU is perhaps the best team in the country. And LSU started to ascend, and because for a while it just looked like they were going to be probably around that upper part of the middle of the pack because everybody was stacked up in this conference for a while. And Arkansas was battling Texas for the top spot, and they were going back and forth. Even Georgia was there at one time through conference play. And it was Texas, Arkansas, and Georgia for a while. LSU wasn't even in the conversation. They were like that tier right below. But LSU just kept chipping away and chipping away. And then you said it. You was like, man, this team right now looks like the best team in the nation. And I kind of battled back a little bit with it. But nonetheless, that seemed to be the turning point. And once they turned it on, they just moved on from there.
Yeah. I mean, and we kind of talked about it. I understand, you got to go with, eventually it matters who's winning on the field or on the diamond, and it was Texas at one point, but there was never a moment where I think any of us ever thought that LSU was just going to go down quietly, and we kind of talked about it before the postseason started, and we talked about just how on paper, a team like LSU and Tennessee could really make things interesting regardless of them not, winning the SEC and not winning the SEC tournament. And you kind of saw that, right? Because even Tennessee, they just had a bad draw with Arkansas. If you put them in another super regional, they could have easily came out and made a run to the College World Series. And yeah, I understand. It's funny, Perry, because I think it was after the regionals, right, where everyone was beating up on the SEC and saying, "Oh man, we got too many teams and all this kind of stuff." Well, I think at the end of the day, man, you could make an argument that the SEC had 2 of the top 3 teams in the College World Series, and there were a lot of other teams in the Super. Like if Auburn doesn't draw Coastal in the Super Regional, they're probably in the College World Series, right? Because Auburn had a chance to win both those games. One of them went to extras, and so I think the SEC showed again, man, that this conference is setting the pace. And I understand people get upset with all the number of seeds, and they want everyone to have opportunities, but I just don't know if you can match right now the level of investment, the level of talent, and the depth of the SEC right now in any other conference in college baseball.
Because I mean, the SEC basically beat up on each other. It was cannibalistic almost when you look at Georgia. All of a sudden, hit the scene. Auburn hit the scene. We were already talking about Tennessee because coming into conference play, Tennessee was pretty much undefeated until they lost that midweek game against East Tennessee, right? Then you look at not only that, Texas then joins the fold. You had Ole Miss in the mix. You had Arkansas in the mix. Vanderbilt was right there in the mix for the basketball. I mean, top to bottom, the only two teams I think we circled was like, what the hell is going on? Is Florida and Texas A&M. But even we saw them as we got past the midway point of conference play, started to wake up. Texas A&M beat LSU. Florida beat Arkansas. Both those teams have. So I just think when you look at the SEC top to bottom, and even Kentucky made a good little run once you started to look at postseason. I mean, it was just tough top to bottom. And so it was easy to overlook a team because every week you looked up, there was a new team fighting for the top spot. It went from Tennessee, then you had Texas, then all of a sudden it was Arkansas, then here's LSU. It's just every week. Georgia was right there knocking at the door. Every week there was somebody new, and every week we saw games like, damn, we just assumed it was going to be a hell of a series, and that's what we was. And not to even forget, Alabama was in the mix this year.
Yeah, and let's not forget Vandy and Auburn got really hot there for a second, and they were rolling. Mississippi State made a little small run there toward the end, and then I mean there was even the conversation, A&M and Florida got hot there for a second, right? And then A&M, ends up losing to Missouri, and they fell off. But Florida was really hot there for a while, and even Ole Miss was a top 25 team at one point this year.
Oklahoma, can't even
Yeah.
forget about the Sooners.
So I really do think that the conference as a whole, it was such an interesting year, man. You look at next year already, right? There's going to be some big question marks for some of the top contenders, and there's some of those mid-level teams that hopefully can build on some momentum that they had this year, and we'll have an even more competitive year next year in the SEC. But I'm expecting another 8 to 10 teams probably in like the top 25 range going into next year already.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. The SEC really did its thing. 13 teams going into the regional, 8 hosting. Then we get the 2 teams. Crazy enough, the draw was 2 SEC teams having to play each other in the College World Series. Those 2 teams gave us memorable games, and perhaps in that second matchup in Arkansas and LSU, that is what we used to call an instant classic, an ESPN classic. That game right there will forever. No matter, you can replay that game no matter what, except in the state of Arkansas. But you can replay that game anywhere, and people will be like, man, that was a hell of a game. That's going to be one people are always going to reference back to and look back, especially in LSU history. And then considering the SEC from top to bottom. Now, my question to you is, for Arkansas, Heartbreak City over and over and over and over, how much more can you take?
Man, I don't know. I don't even know where to go for it. It just because I mean we talked about it, like it just seemed like this year needed to be the year for them.
and
And
it seemed destined, didn't it?
yeah, they were really, really good there for a while, and I I don't know, man. I don't I for at this point it's gotten to the point with Arkansas where until they win it, I can't pick them to win it.
Yeah,
They're gonna have to prove to me that they can figure out how to get it done in the postseason because I guarantee you they're gonna be near the top of the SEC again next year.
no doubt about
Probably
it.
probably going to be hosting a regional, most likely a super regional, and then it's just going to come down to whether they can get it done from there.
And Arkansas will find the most Arkansas way to be Arkansas. And that's typically crying, head down, wondering how did we get here? In the boxing match, when you get that good punch and you stun the opponent, and you could just, this thing's over. That's Arkansas, man. And it hurts to be an Arkansas fan. I know the entire state of Arkansas was hurt after that game, but nonetheless, congratulations to Coastal Carolina for an amazing season for what they did. I think Coastal Carolina, to me, coming into this World Series and even making it to the championship round with LSU, it just kind of felt overlooked a little bit. It just didn't seem like what they did up until that point was actually getting talked about. I don't know. That may have just been me, but to you, did it feel like that kind of was getting overlooked, like nobody was really taking it serious of what Coastal Carolina had accomplished this year up until that point?
Yeah, I mean, and you get that right. If you're not in that power conference, it usually gets overlooked, right? Just because they had some midweek, right? They had some out of conference, success, but it's just that week to week grind isn't there, right? And even in like the first round, or the regionals, I don't know if they really had anybody who was going to test them. I think it was that sweep against Auburn in the supers where everyone was like, okay, they've now won 20 something consecutive games. They just swept Auburn at home, who was one of the hottest SEC teams. And we got to start taking them seriously. And we talked about before, like I told you, I thought there was a chance they could walk through that top part of the bracket at the College World Series, and they did just that, right? I mean, it really wasn't even competitive, and it was a team that was not going to flinch. They had talent, and also too, they had a head coach, they had a staff who one was not going to be afraid of the biggest stage in Omaha, and they had depth in terms of their bats. They were hot at the right time, and their pitching staff was really good because their pitching staff, I thought, performed well against a really deadly LSU lineup. It was just overshadowed by the fact that LSU's pitching staff was so good, their bullpen was so deep, and so I think Coastal Man deserves all the respect. And I'll be honest, man, I wouldn't be surprised if they're right back here next year. Like they're that team in the group of five or mid-major that is always going to be right there. And I think it's just the investment in that program. I think you see it in multiple sports, right? We talk about investment in athletics. They invest in football, and you saw their football program get really, really good there for a while. They've invested in baseball, and so you see that investment in these sports, and I think that's the most important thing is that Coastal, one, has the ability to invest well, and two, they're investing at such a high level that it's making them competitive against some of these power teams.
And I think you have to look at the Sun Belt as a whole as well. I mean, the Sun Belt it has not been a slouch of a conference, man. They had
No,
what, three teams in the top 25 this year, two
yeah,
hosting regionals.
yeah. Troy was in there. But what is it? Southern Miss as well.
And
South
Southern Miss
Alabama.
hosted the regional. And we were
Yes,
talking about Southern Miss and Coastal and Troy pretty much the entire year.
yeah. South Alabama's had some good teams here, so I think the Sun Belt deserves a little bit more respect, man. And I think they have some teams that have performed really, really, really well.
All right, man. As we put a bow on it, can you believe we here already, Blue? Just seemed like we
I can't.
started like maybe a month ago, man. We got kicked off starting conference play. We went through conference season, through the series. We went through the conference tournament. We went through the regionals, the super regionals. Now we've done a whole college baseball World Series, and we started with the SEC, and we're gonna finish with the SEC. And how about the SEC winning the national title with LSU, man? Can you believe that?
Oh, I definitely can. What's that? 7 in a row now?
Hey, magical season for us to get popped off with this and then rocking with the SEC, right?
I'm telling you, man. I got a feeling that there's gonna be a few SEC teams that's the favorite next year.
Man, we're gonna continue to grow this thing, man. Look, Blue, me and you've been rocking even in football season, and then we got together and we've been rocking here with baseball season. It seemed like we picked a great time to rock with this and talking about baseball, and particularly for everybody out there who is tuning in. This will be our last show with baseball, with college baseball, but we started out with SEC conference play. Tennessee was the team we were talking about. Remember that? Just seemed like Tennessee was gonna cakewalk through this. Remember?
Yep.
Then here we
Uh,
are, and we're talking about LSU. And at the end of the day, I'm in Baton Rouge, so I'm right here. It is definitely in the air today. And you better believe the investment into that program is going to skyrocket, especially with NIL and everything else, as you talk about the Tiger Athletic Foundation and all those other pieces. But now here we are as we put a bow on the season. And first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody out there who has been supporting and watching and keeping up with myself and Blue as we've been doing this year, man. It's been a hell of a season. And we watched it unravel and unfold in front of our very eyes. We watched teams go from hot to cold. We watched cold teams go hot. We watched it all up and down. Saw Vanderbilt win a conference tournament championship. We saw LSU move on. We saw Arkansas heartbreaker. We saw Texas get upset by UTSA. Just all the craziest, wackiest things that you thought would not happen. We've been right here covering it all year. And so Blue, as we look back, man, just your thoughts on the year as we recap it, man, and put a bow on this thing.
yeah. Man, I had a blast this year. I'm looking forward to doing it again next year. I remember when you first called me about it, I was a little skeptical. I was like, man, I don't know. I was
Yeah.
like, we'll see. But man, I had a blast. I'm already pumped for next year. And man, what a year for LSU in general, right? Like you win
Yep.
this national title. How about LSU Shreveport
Yep.
winning the NAIA title, undefeated season, 59-0. I mean, that's stupid. The fact that that even happened. So man, LSU 2 for 2 in baseball right now. I mean, I'm looking forward to next year. I think it's going to be huge. I'm interested to see how many SEC prospects get drafted this year. A lot of guys that with some first round buzz and even some top 10 buzz, and so excited to see that. And I think recruiting's going to keep going up, and we'll get to break it all down next year.
And man, I appreciate you for jumping in on this because when we were initially talking, yeah, you were a little skeptical, man. What ended up changing your mind, man? What made you say, you know what, let's do
Hey man, it's the off season. I need to get into some more sports, and so I thought it'd be perfect, man. And I had a blast. I think it's so much fun when you got so many teams that are at the top of the sport, and every week you get to break down national championship level matchups and national championship level teams. So but it grew on me a lot, and also too, it helps like I said when you got really really good players to get invested in, really really good teams, and so that's what sold me on it.
and it creates that excitement, man. And and for a lot of you out there, Blue and I, we're normally in the FCS realm, FCS football, FBS as well, but we're normally in that side of things. And so, I was looking at it this year. I said, man, look, now is a good time to jump into this college baseball, the SEC, man. I mean, you just can't deny how good it has been in college baseball. Let's jump into this thing, and nobody better than to do it than with you, Zach, because I know one thing about it. You're going to do your homework about the game, and then we're going to be able to have a dialogue to talk about it. I'm right here in Baton Rouge, so I get a chance to go to these series week in and week out from in the conference with the SEC to watch LSU take on these many different teams. And I've seen pretty much every team that has come to Baton Rouge this year. I've been through all the series as well as the midweek games, man. And let me tell you, from that to having the conversations with you and then being able to break it down, that's what has made this thing really exciting. And I'm glad it ended the way that it started. Talking about the SEC and ending it with the SEC, I don't think it could have went any better for us in year one for us, man. And I promise you next year, the same way like with football when we did in the spring, we're going to do it even bigger and better as we continue to try to evolve and take things to the next level, man, to be able to give the viewers out there, you guys that are watching, a better experience in terms of what we bring to the table in order to help it be a better viewership for you guys, man. So I appreciate everybody out there that's supporting, man. Blue, you got any final words for everybody as we get ready to wrap this up?
Nope, we good to go, man.
Man, everybody out there, thank you guys. Of course, Blue, let everybody know where to keep up with you.
Yeah, the Blue Bloods on all podcast streaming platforms and YouTube, FCS Football Central on si.com /college/FCS, and we'll be back next season, man, right here, Monday mornings, myself and Perry White breaking down SEC baseball.
I'm looking forward to it. And of course, my name is Perry White. For you guys that are watching, I host the Jaguar Journal on 107.3 FM in Baton Rouge around the capital city area. You can follow the Jaguar Journal. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as follow the Jaguar Journal on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can go on X, Instagram, as well as Facebook. Hit the like and follow button and subscribe button, as well as On the Yard Network, what you're watching this on right now. You can follow On the Yard Network on X, Facebook, as well as Instagram. And go hit the subscribe button on the On the Yard Network YouTube channel. Love to have you guys keep up with us. And if you want to continue to keep up with Zach and I, we're going to be moving forward as football season come around to the FCS and FBS level. So if you're liking what you see here, just stay tuned. Once we get closer to football season, we'll be back right here being able to keep you guys informed in terms of what's going on. Blue, appreciate you, baby, man. Great season.
Yep, man. Okay, well, we'll shift it to football here in a few weeks and pick it back up next season, man, early in the spring with baseball.
Pick it back up early in the spring, man. Enjoy your downtime, man. Don't be worried about no sports right now, man. Enjoy yourself. Let the sports go for until after the 4th of July.
Nah, man, we can't. We've already dropped two conference previews already, like 4 or 5 individual team previews, and we rolling. Hey, there ain't no downtime, man. Media days are coming up, man. So we're working on all the American teams right now, and but we in full swing, man. It feels like the season's right around the corner.
It is right around the corner, man. And I'm going to take a little time off, spend the summer, do some things with the kids, man, do some traveling and kind of unplug and then come back fresh. But for everybody out there, man, I appreciate you guys. No doubt about it. From the bottom of my heart, nothing but love. And I appreciate you because there's plenty of other things you could be doing. But if you're taking the time to watch and listen to it, that's what it's all about, man. And it costs nothing but just support. So until next time, from myself, Perry White, and my man, Zach McKinnell, we appreciate you guys, and we'll be seeing you soon. Stay tuned. We'll be doing more as we get closer to football season. So I hope everybody has a great day, great summer. Stay safe out there. And congratulations to LSU for winning the College Baseball World Series. So we'll catch you guys.